Hello, this is Mesh from Downtime Distractions with a first look review of villages. So with all our first look reviews, we define them in a different category over a full review by just a few caveats. I'll quickly go over here. The gameplay time I've put in is under 8 hours. The game has not been completed or finished in that time. You've got room to gain more skills and knowledge over single or multiple facets of the title, but we still have a good knowledge of the game to give you our opinion and express if it's worth looking into. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's jump into some gameplay and really see what this game is about. And here we are in Villages. So this is a medieval times town building people simulator strategy game. It's brought to us by a developer called Bumblebee and published by Avon Quest Software Publishing. So those guys were kind enough to give me a key just to do a review and let's plays, so thanks for that. So this title's coming out on the 25th of March at the price of $19.99. So it's a single player game with 2 modes. Those modes are campaign mode, so that has 6 campaigns. It took me roughly 6 hours to complete that whole campaign. Campaign mode has a very well delivered story. I enjoyed it and it was pretty interesting as well. Has a nice flow to it, good illustrations, and it's actually quite comical at times, and it's a good kind of reminder of the medieval life and how it would have been. It also has a free play mode, which I guess you could call it a sandbox mode. So there's no story in it, there's no real goal, you're just building and trying to survive. And there's 6 maps to explore in that mode as well. Okay, so let's jump in and I'll show you the UI and I'll show you how to build stuff and some basics within the game. Alright, so here we are in the main menu of the game, which you're going to be looking at. So we've got a couple of basic camera things here. We've got to zoom out, zoom in. You can zoom in quite close, get a good look around. You got a bit of a pan around and a tilt, which is always nice to have. Get a bit more bit of a better look around there with that tilt. It's nice. I wish you could tilt flat though. I do like the kind of looking over the treetops look sometimes. Okay, so the UI, what we have. Top left here we have the indicator of the seasons, which is required because you do farming in this game. So you're going to need to take note of the seasons and also regards population. It's quite important. And here as well, which I don't normally use them too much, this is a necessity with this game. So you have play, pause, and a speed up as well. You can speed 2 times, 5 times, and 10 times. Very necessary, as I say. I'll go into that more a bit later. Okay, what else do we have? Top here we have, I guess, the resources which you have collected and which you're using. So things like wood, stone, iron, how much food you have, tools, gold, and how much your population is currently sitting at. Top right we have a map showing the basic resources there. Nothing too amazing with that one. Bottom right we have notification bar. So if you build a building, it finishes, tells you here. If someone dies, you're under attack, tells you here, usual stuff. Okay, so this is the build menu, I call it. So we have things like, I guess, the production, where you can build things like a farm, fields, mills, bakery, stuff like that. And the general tab is quite strangely named. I mean, it's just got 2 different houses and bridges. And public, things like wells, inns, taverns, chapel, churches, that type of stuff, you know, community areas, and gathering as well. So this is also very crucial. So with this, you can either gather wood, gather stone, or gather all, or cancel all. So if gather all, just go, okay, I want to get that wood, add that stone and some wood there, some more stone there, and your people will run off to get it. Okay, so that's the basic UI. Now let me just show you, I guess, the basic use of the interface with the buildings and the units. Okay, so as you can see, I've got these people wandering around. So they're doing the task I've told them to do. Now that's, the amount of people that are going to do that is dictated by what I have other people doing. So this is the town hall, and you can see here I have 5 workers. So they're the 5 that are going out and collecting that stuff for me. Even though it actually looks like there's 6 of them. Anyway, that's not the point. So I have 2 people in the foresters, and I have 2 hunters and 1 warehouse. So what that means is I have 2 people in here and they're slowly getting wood for me. They're slowly planting trees and chopping them down. I have 2 people hunting, which I've assigned here as well. So once again, with the same with both of these and a few more buildings, there's interesting components where you can say just do normal hunting, and there's another one which is do aggressive hunting, wipe out everything, get as much food as possible in the quickest time. Really enjoy things like that customization and the depth of that kind of option you have. I like that. I really appreciate that. So say the same there, so you could be really aggressive with how you're cutting stuff down, or just plant trees for a while, you know? So you can be able to really sculpt the landscape with stuff like that. Okay, so let's build something here. So I have a house there, but let me just show you. So I need some more wood a bit quicker. So what I'll do is I'll get these hunters out of here. So out you hop. And that's right, they'll make wood in there as well. I'll cancel that, so they're stopping doing that, and I just want everyone to gather some more wood. You can actually expand that as well, which is nice. So hold down shift and you can do that. So there we go. Get the wood. Let's speed things up a bit here. So they're off doing that. So it's a very I guess dependent on your micromanagement and your resource management of, you know, you've got to control a population and you've got to watch out for your resources. And there's interesting stuff too as well, how I could just, okay, so here we go. Let me slow things down. I'll show you what I was going to say. So I could just plant this house here. If I had only one person available in here, that would take ages to build. If I'm in a real hurry, I could pull everybody out of what they're doing, so out of the warehouse, out of the foresters, so everyone will now build that, and it should build pretty quickly. So leave that there, and then I'll start building that, so that should go up pretty quick. That is also another, I guess, a component which you need to manage, because you need to figure out what's important at what stage, because people will die if they don't have enough food. So I see my food's getting pretty low, so I better get these people back hunting. So there we go, they should be safe now for a while. What else do we have which I could show you? I mean, it's the same for fishing. So you got to assign. It's the same for all these buildings. You have to assign a person to use them, and you're not stuck with just 10 people. That increases as time goes on, but that is dependent on if your people are healthy, happy, and they have a house. See out here, it's getting nighttime now. These people will probably go to sleep on the ground because they don't have a home, and they'll be unhappy because of that as well. See, they're happy because they've got water, but as time goes on, these guys will start saying, I'm unhappy because, oh, he's happy because he's got food. So it's a very, I guess for me, it reminds me of the kind of roller coaster tycoon, looking after your people, and I do like that. I do like that concept. So they're happy because they've got food, but they'll start getting unhappy because it gets to night time and they don't have a house. So the only way you're going to gain population is by making a house for everybody, and eventually 2 people will move in and make an offspring. So you can manage that all in here. So they'll slowly infants and children, then they'll turn to adults, and obviously they'll go to elder at some point. People will die here and there from natural causes. Generally it's probably from hunger. So it's all that synergy of management of the resources and the population. Very cool. I really do like how the game all fits nicely together. I think that's probably a good overview of a lot of buildings and how it works. I'm not going to go too in depth into it because it's also something that you should experience for yourself, and a learning curve there. So let me just go over my positives, negatives of graphics, audio and gameplay, and really give you an idea if I think this title is worth you looking at or picking up. Okay, so let's start graphically as I always do. So I think it's a good looking game. From the standard view you use, not zoomed in too much, it looks good. The water looks good, the sunlight shadows look good. It's also very impressive as well. When you zoom in, a lot of the texture quality remains quite nice and high. So it's not, when you zoom in, sometimes you zoom into a game like this and it's hideous and you're like, oh my god, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. But this one's actually pretty good. Every now and again there's some texture quality which isn't the best. The inhabitants or the villagers, they're not the best. And every now and again there's something clipping, but not massively negative. I found just every now and again you'd see something like that. Okay, so let's move on to audio. Now, audio, it has good quality assets, I guess, encompassing all components of the game. So that's music, the voices, the ambient sounds. It's all very good. Only negative thing I'd say is I always prefer an audio narration to deliver a story. With this, it wasn't as bad as I've seen sometimes because the writing is quite nice and it's spaced well also. But still, I want an audio narration. I want to have the choice of listening to someone say it and also read it at the same time in case I don't like how it's delivered and I can turn it off. So yeah, that's only negative point with audio I found. Okay, and let's move on to gameplay. Okay, so before I get into the actual gameplay, let me just mention the comparison with a couple of titles. So the earlier Settler titles and the Banished title, which is a bit more recent than those ones. The comparison between them is valid. There are many components with this title which are very similar. I guess the big difference would be the heavy concentration of management of your inhabitants over a conflict-driven game. So there's not much combat within this game. Actually, there's very little. Also, this game is very easy to pick up and get into, and it has a story, which is also a difference between that and Banished as well. So as I say, there's very little combat. The combat you'll have will be you'll build a couple of guards and they might defend you from bandits every now and again. You may also run into a problem with some wildlife and your hunters can go and fight them. But it's a very automatic process. The gameplay overall for me is very solid. I really like the designs of the buildings and the features that come with it. So you build a farm. You can then spread out a chunk of land that you want to plant food or grains, vegetables or fruit on, and so you choose what you want to plant, and then from that you can then obviously reuse the grain for something else. So I really like how it all intertwines nicely with that. So I've got an affinity for things like that with games where I have the customizable option of going down there instead of just saying build a farm here and it's automatic and you don't have a choice of what crops you build or how big the farm is. So I really appreciate the customization with this. And it doesn't stop there. There's other things as well. As I say, you could, with the trees and the hunting, there's a lot to it. And also there's the warehouse is good as well, and the barn. So with the barn, you can choose what animals you want to purchase. So buy a whole bunch of chickens and live off the eggs, and they'll reproduce as well. So lots of cool things in there. I really enjoyed all that. I guess the one downside I did find with the gameplay within the campaign mode, I found every now and again I would hit times 10, speed things up, and I'd sit there staring at the screen, not putting any input in for a couple of minutes. I mean, it didn't happen too often, but that's something I just want to raise. If you're wanting constant micromanagement within the campaign, it seemed it wasn't there all the time. Every now and again, there's a little bit of downtime. So that brings one to the campaign. Really like the campaign. I spent 6 hours in there. Great story, interesting, well delivered, and I can't really say anything wrong with it apart from that every now and again there's a little bit of downtime when you're playing, because I like the gameplay, I like the buildings, I like how it all, there was a good synergy between it all, and I like the story. The other gameplay mode, which is the kind of sandbox mode, not so good. Not so good in a way where it is what it says it is. It's a sandbox kind of free play mode where you can choose a map. Those maps are all recycled from the campaign, something to remember, and do what you want. So you have access to all the buildings, build whatever you want. For me, there's no replayability in that. Now, that might be a personal preference, but without something to challenge me, without an enemy that I'm constantly trying to, beat or harass, I played it once and I wouldn't play it again. So, you know, let's be generous and say 10 hours of gameplay. So maybe 6 or 7 hours in the campaign, a couple of hours in that sandbox mode. So for $19.99, that's 10 hours worth of content. Is that acceptable? Once again, that's back in your court. For me, it's nearly there. I think it could have been done with a little bit cheaper. As I said, I wasn't too happy with the sandbox mode. Just examples of the sandbox mode which it needs would be things like actually having another village there which is controlled by the AI. And so they're kind of competing with you for resources, for land, and you can trade with them. You could do things, you know, it would be good to kind of sabotage them, stuff like that. I think they could easily have implemented stuff like, well, I'm saying that, you know, I don't know exactly what was involved in the coding, but that to me would have been the next level to make that sandbox mode interesting, being able to add enemy AI. So yeah, I guess across the board, campaign mode, really good. Question the replayability of that sandbox mode. 10 hours worth of content for $19.99. I did enjoy my time with this game, but as I said, this is, you know, the information I provided you here. I hope this really helps you. I hope it helps you make the decision to purchase or not. I'll leave it here because I don't think I could say much more about it. Give me a like if you like it. Give me a dislike if you dislike it. Give me some feedback, and please share this video to your friends if you liked it, and check out the Facebook as well, and subscribe as it really helps us out. And I'll see you next time.